Today, we are going to be talking about someone with severe mental issues. These mental issues led to the murder of all 5 of their children. Should this person be in a prison or should this person be in a mental facility? Stay tuned to find out. And as always, please form your own opinion, do your own research, and continue to stay with me, Anne Marie, and talk about this case. Happy Wicked Wednesday, y'all. How are y'all today? It's me, Anne Marie, aka the Cajun Crime Queen from Carrico, Louisiana. Cajun born, Cajun bred, and when I die, I'll be Cajun dead. I hope y'all having a great day. I'm sure y'all missed me last week. I'm sorry. This case that I'm working on is huge. I even went to Houston to look into it. Because y'all know me, I dive, tread water, jump off the diving board, lay in the sun. I do everything when it comes to case because I want to give y'all all the knowledge when it comes to cases. I want y'all to know every single bit of the case, and I want y'all to know everything about it so y'all can always know what we talk about and what we discuss. I hope that at the end of this video, y'all like, subscribe, comment. It's a free way to help this Cajun girl out down in the bayou. Yes. And guess what, y'all? It's story time. And the only story time that I have for y'all right now is it is cold down here in Louisiana. Yes, I know it's the South. I know we're in the boots. But let me tell y'all, it's about 50 degrees. And for me, that's cold. I know some of y'all up north is like that's nothing. Some of y'all probably below 50 sometimes. But for me, anything below 70 is cold because I'm always freezing. But in Louisiana, by the time it is 2 o'clock, it's 90. So we just push through it. As y'all all know, my favorite season is summer. So before we get into this case, I want y'all all to know that everything that I talk about, everything I discuss is public knowledge. I will also leave links down in the comments so y'all can go form your own opinion and watch everything and see everything here that I talk about. Everything is public knowledge. So who are we going to be talking about today? Oh, and before I forget, I did tell y'all every week I was going to be doing a character. And today, I don't know if y'all could see, I'm doing Kermit the Frog. I love frogs. I think they're slimy and gooey and the toads are bumpy. They are just lovely little creatures. I know a lot of people don't like them because they're slimy and gross, but I love them. We used to go down in the bayou and hunt the frogs. So I decided to be Kermit the Frog, wore my shirt, and we are going to be talking about someone today named Andrea Kennedy Yates. Andrea Yates was born July 3rd, 1964 in Houston, Texas. She is the youngest of 5 children. Andrea soared in everything she did. She was a devout Catholic. She was a captain of her swim team in high school. She was the valedictorian of her class. She was also on the National Honor Society. She was a perfectionist and a people pleaser, such as I. I love to make people happy. That's my number one thing in life. But she also struggled. She struggled with depression. She struggled with bulimia. And she also spoke about suicide. After high school, she graduated from the University of Texas in nursing. She moved into an apartment in the suburb of Houston. One day while she was floating in the pool like a cross with her arms stretched out, she met Rusty Yates, a computer designer at NASA. She ignored Rusty that day, but just a couple of months later, they started dating with Andrea making the first move, which I think is cool. I love when women make the first move. By the way, my man, I made the first move. Just remember that. I made the first move. They started dating, and 3 years later, they moved in together and they were married. They had a great life. About a month or 2 after they were married, Andrea was pregnant with her first son, Noah, which she always said she was fertile myrtle. She was pregnant right away, which I think is a joy. I think that's wonderful. Andrea and Rusty had a talk, and they decided to have Andrea stay home and be a stay-at-home wife and mom, which I know a lot of people think, oh, that's nothing. No, y'all, that is a very hard job and you don't get paid for it. I have all respect for stay-at-home moms and wives because it is the hardest job ever and you don't get paid for it. So my heart and my love and all my respect goes out to all the working moms. But as we talk, it was very hard for Andrea to go through a lot of these things by herself in a home with her children. After the birth of Noah, Rusty and Andrea's first son, Andrea started having these visions of knives and stabbing someone and blood. And she even said that Satan had spoke to her. She was having all these thoughts going through her head, and instead of speaking to someone about it, such as her husband, a family friend, a family member, even a doctor, she kept everything to herself. And we know why, y'all. Andrea was a perfectionist and she didn't want anyone to know she was having these thoughts. She didn't want anybody to know she was quote unquote crazy. And as we all know, it doesn't mean you're crazy. When you're having thoughts or you're scared or you're crying 24/7, like I said, one day we're going to talk about my issues, and it does not mean you're crazy. I remember in a Golden Girls episode, Blanche, they were at a psychiatrist's office and she was like, yo, I'm in a psychiatrist's office. People think I'm crazy. No, that it does not mean you're crazy. You are not crazy if you see a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist. That does not mean you crazy. And I think that everyone should have a special friend, even if it's their best friend, to always have someone to share. But this is the first red flag that Adrienne had in her mind. This was a red flag to her, but never shared it. Rusty and Andrea moved into a beautiful home. Andrea was staying home with the children. Rusty was working. And over the next 4 years, Andrea had 2 more boys, John and Paul. They all had biblical names, beautiful children. They were very talented. I'm going to leave links. Y'all can go see some of their artwork. Just very intelligent, talented, beautiful little boys. While they were in their home doing their thing, they were following the Warnickis. Now, the Warnickis, Michael Warnicki and Rusty met in college. The Warnickis were very aggressive in their preaching. They would go around preaching in different places. They were even in trouble with the authorities constantly. They had to move out of their home state of Michigan to avoid prosecution. I have no idea what they did. I would love to know. Maybe some of y'all can link down in the comments and tell me what they did because I have no clue. But they were very aggressive. And if you believed that you were going to heaven, nope, you were going to hell. He said everybody was going to hell. And even if you believed it, even if you were perfect, you were probably going to hell. So Andrea was corresponding with the Warnickis through videos and letters and talking to them and trying to follow their path. And their path was, you have to be perfect. And Andrea wanted to be perfect, but she didn't realize that the way she was following them was actually bringing her down in her, I guess, I'm not going to say demons, but she had struggles in her head, and she thought in her mind, in my opinion, this is my opinion, that she couldn't share these struggles because of the following of the Warnickis, and she wanted to be perfect for the Warnickis and Rusty and her family. You remember, she was a people pleaser. She wanted to make everyone happy, but inside, Andrea was dealing with demons. And y'all, it is not a pretty sight to be hearing voices and thinking things and having visions and have no one to talk about it with. The Warnickis would travel around in their bus, preaching different countries, and they said that owning a house or even having a job is practicing against the evil of God. Now, that is their belief. Everybody should have their own beliefs, but this is what the Warnickis were saying. So Andrea and Rusty sold their beautiful suburban home and moved into a 350 square foot used Greyhound bus sold by the Warnickis. Now, in my opinion, that's crazy. A family of 6 now in a 350 square foot bus is very hard on someone. And I don't know if I told y'all, if I mentioned yet, but Andrea was also homeschooling the boys. And while she was living in this bus, Andrea was also caring for her father, who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease. Now, y'all, I'm going to say this. Homeschooling 3 kids. She has a newborn, Luke, who she's nursing. She's in this 350 square foot bus, staying at home all day with the children, having to feed them, look after them, teach them, take care of a newborn, probably sleep deprived. I would lose my mind. I'm telling y'all right now, I would lose my mind. I know I would lose my mind. I knew I couldn't take it. Well, the Warnickies would also say that, Andrea was weak. So Andrea thought that because of her, they were all going to hell. So she was constantly a nervous wreck due to the following of the Warnickies, in my opinion. I think they were pushing her a lot. Well, one day when little Luke was 4 months old, she called Rusty and said, Rusty, come home. I need help. Rusty walked in and saw that Andrea was biting her fingers, not her nails, y'all, her fingers, and clawing at her legs. Just her legs were shaking, her fingers were just in her mouth. And he said, what's wrong? She's like, I don't know. And she was basically having a nervous breakdown. He didn't know what to do, y'all. And my heart goes out to him because I wouldn't know what to do either. A lot of y'all wouldn't. Do I take the children and go to my mom's house? Do you need to be alone? Do you want to get out and let's do something? She finally broke down and snapped. And that's when he took Andrea and the 4 children went walk on the beach because he didn't know what to do. He really just didn't know what to do. And my heart goes out to the whole family at this point. The next day, Rusty took Andrea and the 4 children to her mother's house so she can not be alone, and she was recovering from what had happened the day before. While recovering at her parents' house, she took an overdose of her father's sleeping pills to try to commit suicide. Andrea was rushed to the hospital where she was transferred to the psych unit where she was put on medication, and they treated her for a week, and the insurance ran out. Didn't matter if she was well, didn't matter if she wasn't well, the insurance stopped paying. But they sent her home with antidepressants. She wouldn't take her medicine. She would spit them out. She would put it in between her cheeks. She would not take them because of the Warnickies. They didn't believe in that. You had to be perfect. You had to be wonderful. You had to follow this certain path. But meanwhile, she was biting her hands, refusing to eat or drink, picking at her skin till it would bleed, clawing herself, y'all, clawing herself on her body, anything she could to stop from harming her children. That's how sick she was. That's how worried and nervous she was all the time. Well, just a couple of months later, she ran and got a knife and ran to the bathroom, and Rusty walked in and the knife was to her throat, and she was like, please let me do it. Please let me do it. They wrestled over the knife. Rusty grabbed the knife. He rushed her to the hospital. This time it was a private hospital that treats, it was a psych hospital. And she was sent there. She was put there for a while, where she was diagnosed now with postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, schizophrenia. She had a battle of trouble that she needed to get help with. They put her on all of this medication. They wanted her to get well. They wanted her to take her medications. And at this time, Andrea admitted to the psychiatrist about the visions she had after her firstborn was born, Noah. You remember the visions of knives and stabbing people and not wanting to hurt people. This wasn't like Danny Rawling, who we talked about 2 weeks ago. You remember he had all these visions? No, but he acted on it. He was, like dismembering people. Andrea was very, very mentally ill and trying to get through that. That's why she was constantly saying, I want to hurt myself because I know that I want to protect my children. I don't want to hurt them. I want to protect my children from all of this harm. And she was in and out of psych facilities, but she was starting to do well now that she was taking all of her medications. Going through all of Andrea's medical records, the doctors believed that Andrea had been having this diagnosis for years, but it just wasn't severe. Y'all, a lot of people have these mental illnesses, and we think that we're going to see them at the store talking to themselves or doing things that normal people wouldn't do, but that's not the case. There are several different types of mental illnesses that we need to educate each other about, because we don't know what we have, and if we have something, we don't know what's going to trigger it to be severe. And Andrea had postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, and schizophrenia. It does not mean you're crazy. It does not put a label behind you like Anne Marie has postpartum depression, she's crazy. No, we work through it. We learn how to deal with it. And Andrea was. Well, meanwhile, Andrea's at the hospital recovering, and her mother tells Rusty, which I firmly stand by what she said, no more bus, Rusty. Get out of that bus and get a home. So Rusty went out and purchased a beautiful suburban home in Houston. Andrea comes home to the home. She looks like she's recovering. She celebrates her son's birthday by making this beautiful, extravagant birthday cake. Y'all, her birthday cakes, I've seen them. They are beautiful, and it takes a lot of talent. This was not a mother that just didn't want to do anything. This was a mother who really loved being a mother. And the doctors told her when she left the hospital, no more kids. Stay on your birth control, take all your medications, and do not have any more children, because a woman with postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis has a 50 to 80% chance of having another episode. 4 months later, Andrea's pregnant. Little did the doctors know that she had stopped taking birth control, stopped taking her medication because of the Warnicki's. She had to be perfect. Now, at this point, y'all, I blame Rusty. I'm sorry. Y'all can come in my comments. Y'all can get mad at me. But at this point, yes, Andrea is at fault. But Rusty, if my spouse tried to commit suicide twice and survived twice, and had all these episodes and was in and out of psych treatments and constantly feeling bad about themselves and worried about hurting the children, why would I get pregnant again after they found the right medication, the right way to help me? I'm in this beautiful home. I'm doing well. Why would I get pregnant again after the doctors told me? And why would Rusty be okay with that? Why would he want his children or his wife to go through that again? In my opinion, that was not the right thing to do. She got off of everything, got pregnant, and on November 30th, of 2000, she had a beautiful baby girl named Mary, their 5th child, finally a girl. She was very happy. But she started going downhill again, and Rusty started noticing the pattern. She was biting her fingers, pulling out her hair, not eating or drinking, doing crazy things. So he put her back into treatment, and it was bouts of depression, crying, scared she was going to hurt herself. It was very, very hard on the entire family, because every time that Andrea would go into treatment or a facility or stop taking her meds, the kids would miss their mommy. They wanted their mommy, and it was hard. It was hard on the entire family. But Andrea went back into the facility again. The doctors told Rusty and Andrea that Andrea could not and should not be left alone at all. Not at home, not by herself, not with the children, no one. They wanted her to recover. Rusty's mother started coming to the house when Rusty would leave for work. Well, one day, while Rusty's mother was there, Andrea filled up the tub with water in the middle of the day, and Rusty's mom asked Andrea, "What are you doing?" She says, "Oh, I'm going to drown the children." So she was still having these episodes. She was still having, the bouts of depression, and it was scary. And for reasons that are unknown, because I have no clue why, they started weaning Andrea. Oh, you could be left with the kids alone for an hour or 30 minutes. Or I don't know why Rusty did that. I don't know why. He knew Andrea was ill, but he decided, okay, she could be left alone with the children. And he left for work, and his mother was going to be there in an hour. And in between that hour, she filled up the bathtub and killed each one of those precious babies. It breaks my heart. Breaks my heart. After she was done, she laid him in the bed. She called 911 and said she needed the police. And they asked her what was wrong. And I'm going to leave the link to 911 call in the comments below so you can check it out yourself. But she told them, "I need the police. I'm ill." "Well, ma'am, do you need the ambulance?" "No." "Yeah, bring the ambulance." Hangs up the phone, calls Rusty and says, "Rusty, you need to get home." He said, "What's wrong?" She said, "It's the children." He said, "Which one?" She said, "All of them." Y'all, could y'all imagine? I can't even, okay. I couldn't even imagine. I could not even imagine. He rushed home frantic, realized all of his children were gone, deceased. He was crying. He was looking for Andrea. He was worried. The whole thing was a mess. Y'all, the guilt he must have. The guilt. To lose all 5 of your children in one day. It's horrible, horrible. Ages 7 to 6 months old. And my heart just breaks for him. But he also stood by his wife. And he stood by his wife because, like he said in his interview, this wasn't her that did all that. It wasn't her that day. And a lot of people say that. Do y'all remember the murder trial when the judge said to Alec, maybe it wasn't you that murdered your wife and your son. Maybe it was this other person or something like that inside of you that took over you. And that's how I feel with Andrea. I think this was not her that day. And when the cops interviewed her, they asked her, "Why did you do this?" She said, "Well, the kids were misbehaving. They were talking back to their grandmother. They were eating candy. They were disobeying. They were being disrespectful. They were just falling." Well, as we all know, that's normal for children. They talk back, they run around, they stumble. It's just what children do. Well, Andrea said, "I was trying to save them because I tried to commit suicide and save myself and then or save my children from the devil. But the devil, I look at them, he was ruining them. And it was all because of me. And I had to help them before the devil got a hold of them. I wanted to send them to heaven." So in her mind, she was doing the right thing. And a lot of people say, "Oh, God, what kind of person?" The prosecution said that Andrea knew right from wrong, that Andrea planned this murder, that Andrea knew exactly what she did, exactly what she was going to do. She waited for Rusty to leave. She filled up the bathtub. She called the police, told the police, "Come get me." Yes, she did know what she was doing. But remember, she wanted to save them from the devil. It wasn't like a Susan Smith or Diane Downs who was murdering their children for some dude. This was a person that was severely, severely sick from mental illness, that was not getting the help she needed because for what reasons are unknown. The Warnicki's, herself, her illness, I don't know. But her defense tried to get her to plead insanity, and she was fit to stand trial. She stood trial, and she was guilty and sentenced to life in prison. The tapes that was shown in court to the jury were shown the months after she committed the murders. Why weren't the tapes of her right after getting arrested shown when she y'all, if y'all would see her, they were bringing her in. She looked like she hadn't been bathed. Her clothes were falling off of her. She had bald spots. She looked like she had had a nervous breakdown, but they did not show those tapes in court. They showed the tapes months later when she was talking about the murders, where she was on medication. She looked well. So she didn't look, quote unquote, crazy. She looked like she was working through her issues, her mental issues. But that day, it was not her. That was not her what she did. Now, a lot of people say, and I am one of them, and I will admit, my name is Anne Marie. I did not believe in mental illness. I did not believe in postpartum depression. I always said, how can any woman be depressed after having a child? A child is the most precious gift God has ever given to us. Many people cannot have children. So I took that as, who would be depressed after having a baby? It's the happiest time of our life, right? Y'all, some people struggle. Some people struggle. And now I get it. I get it now. I'm telling you, back in 2001, I remember them walking Andrea Yates out with handcuffs. And I remember saying, God, what, this evil woman, she's crazy. What's wrong with her? Oh my God, who murders all 5 of their children? They need to lock her away, put her in jail, never let her out. No. Now I see that she was suffering from several different illnesses, and she has finally realized what she did and has become a person that is dealing with this. And in 2006, she won the appeal. She was found not guilty by reason of insanity and sent to a state mental facility where she remains today. And I'm going to tell y'all this. Every year she's up for review. Andrea opts to not go up to review because she says that she's where she needs to be, which explains a lot to me and about her character. In her mind, she can't be in the outside world. She wants to be in this facility doing her thing. And what she does, she makes aprons, she makes cards, she makes gifts, and sells these gifts anonymously, and all the money from everything she sells goes to the Yates Memorial Children's Fund, and all the proceeds go to women's mental health. So I'm very happy that she is doing that. I'm very happy that she is doing well. They say she spends a lot of her time watching home videos of her children. She misses her children and grieves her children every day. And she realizes what she did, and she realizes that she does have several types of mental illness, and she believes that she's where she needs to be, and she's happy with that decision. Final thought. My final thought is, we need to educate ourselves more with mental illness. Was Andrea Yates considered a serial killer? Yes. As we all know, it takes multiple for a serial killer. Yes. But do I think that she is a Ted Bundy or a Jeffrey Dahmer or a Danny Rawlings or a Derek Totley? No. I think Andrea Yates had a mental illness, and I think that she needed help. I am very happy that she got the help that she needs, and she's in a facility getting the treatment. I believe that we should all talk more about postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, schizophrenia, and my heart goes out to those precious babies. Those precious babies. I do not think anyone should murder anyone, much less children. Children, I do think that Andrea should have listened to the doctors. I think Rusty should listen to the doctors. I think that now that Rusty's remarried and has children, you know, I wonder every day, does he think about his children? Does he regret some of the decisions that he made? And I wonder if Andrea is sitting there saying, I don't want to go out into the outside world because I may hurt someone. I don't know. I don't know what she's thinking, but all I know is that she knows she needs to be there, and I am happy that she's working through all of her issues. Now, I have a surprise for y'all this week. This week, since I skipped it last week, I have another serial killer that we are going to be working on in just a couple of days. So you get 2 videos this week. And the next person, I am going to tell you that it is a female, but that is the only hint that I'm going to give y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all like, subscribe, comment. It is a free way to help this Cajun girl out. All y'all got to do is press subscribe, that bell, so y'all never miss a video. Who would want to miss a video from me, Anne Marie? Anyway, I hope y'all have a great day. I hope y'all go out, get some exercise, get those tickers up, get that heart rate high. Make sure y'all climb up the stairs, drink y'all water, have a little beverage tonight, or just cuddle with your partners or your fur partners. Those are my favorite, those fur partners. Oh, they're delicious. Love animals. I love them. I hope y'all have a great rest of the day, and I will see y'all just in a couple of days with my second video this week. I love y'all so much. Thank y'all again for watching me.